Hello, kia ora, g'day, I'm Philip Duncan from Weather Watch TV on YouTube with your Cyclone Alfred update for Thursday. Let's get into the tracking at the moment. So Category 2, as it's been for the last couple of days, curving around, and then in the last 24 hours or so, it started that westward movement towards land. But you might have noticed it hasn't moved very much. The lines here indicate basically the cyclone's been stalled for about a day. It is going to start moving back up again as it moves inland. There's some computer modelling that suggests what you see out here at sea might again happen around the Brisbane area as the cyclone starts to break apart, but lingers over the top of the Brisbane area. So we're going to break this down for you to try and make some sense of it, but basically here is the Bureau of Meteorology tracking and the warnings that go from Tin Can Bay all the way down to about Grafton. Let's have a look at the current wind speeds. The gusts that you see in red, those are gale force. You can see them popping up all along the eastern coastline from New South Wales all the way to well north of Brisbane. The windiest weather, though, is out at sea in the southwestern quadrant of the cyclone. That is right here, the centre of it very calm. You can also see some rain coming through, heavy falls starting to develop now, but the worst of that rain is yet to actually arrive. Let's make more sense of it. Why is the cyclone stalled? Well, it's all due to the big picture. You've got to have a look at, zoom right out and see where the high pressure zone is, south of Australia, south of South Australia. This anticyclone is stretching all the way down to Antarctica, all the way up into Australia, but it balloons out into the Tasman and all the way up towards the tropics. And it's this sort of ballooning out action over the Tasman that has got this cyclone trapped like a wheel stuck in mud. It's just spinning around, wants to pull towards New Zealand. It can't because the high pressure zone is coming in and blocking it. And eventually, as the anticyclone increases, the high pressure increases in the Tasman, that's what will guide Alfred in towards the coastlines of Australia. So let's start off with the wave heights. They are the biggest, most widespread part of this system to start with. You're looking at some really big wave heights coming in. I mean, as you already know, for the last couple of days, Brisbane is right here. So you're talking about wave heights of 6-7 metres along the coastline. We already have seen waves recorded over 15 metres. And these waves are going to intensify. Let me animate this for you. You'll see this area here pushing in to the coastline, going all the way down to about Byron Bay, even further south than that. And you're talking about wave heights of 8-9 metres or more as we go in towards the next couple of days. So that is significant. And on top of that, you've got all the wind blowing with it. So as those swells come in, as those big waves come in, you've got this enormous strong wind, this southeasterly pushing in with it. That all builds up the tides along the waterfronts, blocks up the rivers trying to exit and going out to sea. And that's one of the reasons why coastal flooding, or coastal inundation as it's sometimes called, is a concern. That's where the estuaries just start to keep filling up. They don't go down at low tide. And so that could be an issue in some of these very low-lying areas along the coastline. But let's jump forwards because this is a slow system, and even by tonight, the worst of those winds, they have intensified, but they're offshore. So you'll notice them from places like Mullumbimby, further northwards to about Jacobs Well, in that area on the Gold Coast. That is the strongest winds. And also here, along the McPherson Ranges, you're likely to see some big gusts coming over the hills there, especially on the Queensland side, as that southerly comes up, races down on the northern side of those ranges. Also around the Tweed Range and also Mount Warning, you're likely to be seeing some gusty winds moving through there, especially as we go overnight tonight. Now the computer modelling, based on which one you use, they're all pretty similar, but they're all just a little bit different enough to change how it looks a wee bit over land as far as the biggest gusts are concerned. But this looks like the peak of it overnight tonight, all the way from Yamba up to about Brisbane. Those are the most at-risk areas, and you can see again here along the ranges, as those winds howl through, they pick up even further on that northern side going into Queensland. That's where you could see a higher risk of damaging gusts. Even going in as far land as Toowoomba, you might be getting some of those damaging gusts that far inland. But let's go through into Friday morning further. This is when the cyclone is likely to be really coming in close to land. Like I say, the models are changing. We've seen this just in the last 24 hours. It is frustrating that we can't just give you the answer as to where exactly what time it's going to happen. But what you notice is as we go through Friday morning, the area of severe gales in this pink-purple shading, this is where it goes off the key, that area there is reducing. And so that's quite normal, probably getting down to a Category 1 cyclone by this point. And by tomorrow night, Looks messy, doesn't it? It's not 100% locked in. What you've seen there is perhaps the low spinning around and moving back out to sea for a while, and that could allow the winds here to ramp back up again. So this is frustrating because we can't give you a nice clean answer to tell you where this is all going to go. But we can tell you by the weekend we expect the low to be well inland, starting to fall apart, windy gale force weather pushing well through the interior. And now you're seeing the winds change along the coastline, northeasterlies, which means it's still going to be blowing back into the rivers that are trying to drain out. And of course, by the time we get into the weekend, that's when the heavy rain is especially setting in and trying to drain back out. So this is a slow moving wind event. It moves inland by Saturday night. Stanthorpe down to about Armidale, getting those gusty winds could be damaging as they move through. And we're still seeing very strong winds all the way from Maroochydore all the way down the coastline, but especially down to about Lismore area. Those gusts are still potentially in that damaging zone where you could still get power cuts. And look, let's jump through here to 1 o'clock Monday morning. It's Sydney's turn and southwards to get that gust of northeasterly winds. Low pressure is inland and it's all tracking southwards as you go across the day. Let's get into rainfall now. Here is the 24 hours of rainfall taking you through to 10 a.m. on Friday. And it's what I've been saying for the last couple of days. Basically Brisbane down to about Evans Head. That's the area, especially around the northern rivers, getting that very heavy rain. Talked about the McPherson Range. The heaviest rain is likely to be on the southern and eastern sides of that, which drains southwards and then out to sea. On the other side, drains northwards and then out to sea. So this very heavy rain coming in from the east, perhaps the southeast, heaviest falls south of Surfers Paradise and north of Lismore. Going through to Saturday, heaviest rain from the Gold Coast down to about Yamba. Those are the areas seeing the heaviest rain, but the bulk of that rain does once again look to be on the New South Wales-Queensland border as it comes on in. And further southwards, heavy rain from Coffs Harbour down to about Port Macquarie along the Great Dividing Range. You'll be seeing those heavier falls. Sunday, notice the pattern here. The heaviest rain still in this zone, spreading down further through the divide. Heavier falls easing off a wee bit, perhaps further southwards, but this is a long-lasting rain event that basically is around for about 3 or 4 days. It breaks up on Monday. That's the first time you get those showers kind of coming through, dry spells. Might even get the sun out if you're lucky on Monday, but the rain moves down now towards Sydney. So Sydney's got wind and rain coming through on Monday, and obviously everybody around you as well, all the main centres in this area, likely to get a burst of wind and rain. There is the low coming back out to sea again. So let's have a look at that rainfall. Here is the animation through to Sunday, and you can really clearly see which areas are most exposed to the heaviest rain. And of course, the black line here, that is the top of the Great Dividing Range. So the rain and water that falls along that line eastwards drains out to sea. So this whole area, basically Brisbane to Port Macquarie, that is the highest risk for flooding that we can see at this stage. It may occur in other places, so please keep up to date with the Bureau of Meteorology. They are tasked with giving you the official warnings. But this is a messy system, dry mostly on the top half of it, big rain clouds exploding to life in the southern edge of it, and that is all tracking slowly in. And it's this area here with these explosive clouds with the very heavy rain, that is the area moving right in to that border. So this is the best we can do today with this very conflicting data that we've got. But we'll be back again tomorrow, Friday, and we'll give you another update then. And hopefully, finally by then, we can give you a bit more clarity as to when this is all going to be over and done with. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow.